Project X?
No.
Have you heard of it? It's where the big party goes out of control and stuff like that.
No.
Oh, never seen it either. So, in Area 51, which comes out in 2013, so obviously we haven't seen that.
Which they also have other movies too, like the Blair Witch Project was found footage.
Mm-hmm. That's what we're going to be talking about. Thanks for transitioning into us. See, that's why I keep you around.
What?
Here's a question, because Blair Witch Project really brought the found footage genre to the forefront, made it so popular. Without the Blair Witch Project, and here's a question for you, would Paranormal Activity series be as good as it is?
Probably not. Because I think the Blair Witch Project understood that the unknown makes it more horrifying to people.
Yeah.
I mean, you send somebody to go watch that film, do you think they're ever going to actually tread in the woods without wondering if something's out there? Never again.
Yeah, because I mentioned earlier about the first found footage film. You would think the first one ever would be The Trendsetter. And it wasn't. It wasn't until I think Blair Witch Project was made in 99, I think. So it was like 19 years later that this movie was made. So it was like a 19-year gap where no one did found footage, or at least, actually I think they did a few movies actually, but none of them were as popular as the Blair Witch Project. So without the Blair Witch Project, none of these films, the Paranormal Activities along with the other films I listed a moment ago, wouldn't be as good because no one liked the found footage genre, at least until the Blair Witch Project came around.
Right. Now, are any of these movies based on true events? The Blair Witch Project supposedly was, wasn't it?
Nope. No. Sometimes they do it to make people watch, but the films weren't based on true events, at least to my knowledge. But I wouldn't be surprised if they used like stories they've heard or something and incorporated into this. Like, it's totally off subject, but
I think the Paranormal Activity actually had a thing on it that said this was based on true events.
Could have been. It's hard to say, but this is off topic, but real quick. The Strangers, have you ever seen The Strangers?
No.
Well, the movie was based on true events. Or not true events, or not exactly what happened in the movie, but it was the likeness of.
Right.
And that's what I think the Paranormal Activity could have been. Like, people's experiences and just put into one movie. Maybe that's it, but I'm not positive. Because I know Mika and Katie aren't real people. I know any of these people aren't real. Well, obviously they're real, but that's not the real them.
Right.
But I could be wrong, and if I am wrong, let me know. And here's another question. Which is better, or if you want to put, which is scarier, the Blair Witch Project or the Paranormal Activity?
I always want to say the Blair Witch Project, only because it shows things.
It was the pioneer, I want to say, of this genre. So, and watching it back, I don't know if you noticed this, if you've seen it recently. It's very slow paced.
Very.
Like, I didn't notice that when I first watched it, which was
It was
like
supposed to
7
be a
years ago.
documentary for these kids to bring to their school or something.
Mm-hmm.
Later on in the film, they start, all of them start going mad.
Yeah, they turn on each other and they get really mad at each other, yeah.
And it's kind of, I'm not gonna lie, really gross when the girl had the camera like this.
Oh, yeah.
And
I'm so sorry.
There was like snot in her nose. It's just like...
Yeah.
Not happening. And then you found body parts, pieces of
Everywhere,
hands
and
and
then
ears
her
and nose.
the Blair Witch symbol, and the trees and stuff.
And the piled rocks.
There's a lot of creepy moments in this movie, but
Right.
there's a sequel too of it, which didn't live up to expectations. But the way the first one ended, it should have continued on. But oh my god, I can't believe that was 12, 13 years ago that was made.
Yeah.
And they want to do a third one of what I've heard. But I don't think anyone really cares about that movie anymore. Because we have this series now.
Right.
Like if they would have, I don't even say if they would have done it after the second one, because no one liked the second one. The second one, just like Quarantine, was not found footage. It was a regular film. So, and if they went back to found footage for the third one, it's going to look weird. But I can't believe that was almost 13 years ago.
Yeah, it's been quite a while.
Yeah, and I remember being petrified of that movie after I first watched it.
I actually didn't
was
see it
scared.
for the first time until last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I watched it about 7 years ago. It was the first time I watched it.
I watched
back
it.
on VHS.
Yeah, that's what mine's on. My mom would not let me watch because she thought I'd be too afraid.
And a lot of people think it's real. It's not. Sorry. They have the website making it think it's real. When I have arguments with people, they say, go to this website. I'm like, no. They want you to think it's real.
I thought on the film, too, it said based on true events, which I'm sure there might be some
Well, there's
likeness to the events, but it's probably not a true story.
Yeah, that's what I think probably would be. Because I can imagine, like, they would not put this real film, like, this real footage of these kids being tortured, make it into a movie. No one would do that. Especially the families would not allow it or anything like that.
Right.
So, right there, right there. They're coming up with a Paranormal Activity 4.
They are?
In October, yes. So,
And what's this going to be about?
no one knows yet. No one knows who's in it, no one knows what it's about. Potential. What do you if you were given the book to write it, how would the fourth one go for you?
Honestly, I probably would make a fourth one. And I mean, if I did, it would show what the grandmother did to them, spoiler alert, when this one ended. What happened during their 10, 11 years old to grown adults with kids. What happened?
Do you think it'll go back further, do you think?
I don't think so.
Because this is in the 80s. I don't know when video cameras were first invented, but there's, if you go too far back, because I feel...
Early 1900s they were invented, I think.
If they go, because I feel that if they're going to keep going back, they're going to go back to the grandmother's backstory. And this was in the 80s, this is probably going to be 20 years before that, in the 60s. There's a point, it's not going to look good if they're going to make it seem like a 60s camera. So they have to do something to keep the interest.
Right.
Like I was writing it, obviously I would do the grandma's backstory somehow, but I wouldn't go too far back, but I would tie up the loose ends.
They will probably show what happens with all the grandmother people and show what exactly started it all. Yes, they say that this started it all. It did not. You know better.
You never know. But also, I just thought of this. Pick up where that left off. When they walked up the stairs at the end.
Yeah.
Go from there. If they can. I mean, because the guy was dead. Who's going to pick up the camera now? That's the important thing about these movies, is who's behind the camera and if he survives or not.
I guess if my kids or even his stepkids were in trouble, why on earth did he just keep filming? Why didn't he stop? Oh, look at me, I'm filming and running at the same time. It's slowing me down. Why wouldn't you take better precautions?
When you have a camera and you're running, you don't look at ahead, you look through the screen. So that confuses you even more, and there you go, you're dead. So that's one thing that bugs me in these movies. They tape everything. Leave something to the imagination maybe, but